Hey there, beautiful people of YouTube and Facebook, you wonderful cosmic travelers and spiritual psychic seekers of the higher path. It's Psychic Cynthia here again, spiritual psychic Cynthia Killian. And I am logging on with a rune reading, R-U-N-E, if you haven't heard of the runes before. So this is a divinatory reading relating to the energies of this upcoming eclipse on Wednesday night. And that would be in the time zone I live in the central USA time zone. That would be Wednesday night. I believe it's at 11:13 p.m. here in the central daylight USA time. Now, if you're in Europe, that's going to be technically, well, here it's April 19th, but for you, it would technically be on April 20th. Because it'll be, after midnight, and of course, same for those of you in the Eastern time zone. Anyway, I have really been feeling the energies of this eclipse. It's funny. I made a video about it, a longer video about the astrology on Saturday night, and I posted it, and you can check that out if you want to. It's a really good video, actually. Been getting a lot of feedback on that. It's been helping a lot of people. To understand this is not the end of the world, okay? But it seems that as we've gone closer to the eclipse, and now at the time I'm making this, we're a little bit less than 24 hours out, things have really started to get intense emotionally, and I've been experiencing a lot of purging and cleansing. I even had some physical cleansing, I won't go into details, but yeah, I had some issues with that. So I'm really feeling it. I'm feeling this upcoming new moon solar eclipse in Aries pretty strongly, and I don't think I'm the only one from what I've been hearing. So I wanted to get more information from the universe, from the gods, from the ancestors, from the dead. Yes, those across the veil. I wanted to channel in, but I wanted to do it in a structured way because I could feel this is even more powerful than I initially thought. That's the other thing too. I've been feeling the dead a lot more in the last 24 to 48 hours. I mean, I'm a medium too. I don't know if you know that I do that kind of work. If you want to call it work, it's really more of a ministry, to help those who have lost somebody, to get closure with that. But anyway, yeah, the dead speak to me sometimes. And I'm sure some of you watching this are probably natural mediums too. But this wasn't so much about just other people's dead people, but my own. I've had a lot of people pass in my life from childhood. That's why I'm a medium. Actually, sometimes people say to me, I want to be a medium. And I say, do you really? Because all of the great mediums I have known have suffered tremendous loss and death. So think about that. I wouldn't want to be a medium, but on the other hand, there's a lot of positive that can be done with that if you have that gift. I'm digressing only a little bit though, so I've been feeling the spirits more strongly, especially the dead, which kind of makes sense because just to give you a refresher, if you didn't see the earlier video that details more about the astrology of it, this solar eclipse, it's happening in very late degree Aries, 2950 Aries. It's almost in Taurus, heck, but it's in Aries. And it is making a very close square to Pluto in Aquarius. So it's, making a tense aspect. For those of you who don't speak astrology, this is a 90-degree aspect. That's why it's called square. And it's a tension. There's a conflict there. It's stirring things up. And Pluto is a very powerful energy in astrology. This is, it's power, actually. It's one of the things it represents is power and empowerment and our willpower. And, that gumption, that determination to follow your path and to, get your will done. Now, if you're not aligned with higher forces, this could represent, acting manipulatively, acting in a way that was like a bully, okay, trying to force your way onto the world. I mean, and a lot of people do that. Even spiritual people do that. You know, we get addicted to control sometimes, right? And that's why everybody loves the law of attraction, right? They love to study about it. Um, I don't think they actually love the law, okay? But they love the idea of manifestation. They love the idea of pushing their will upon the universe, which really isn't what the law of attraction is about. If you listen to the name of it, it's the law of attraction, not the law of pushing or making things happen. You know, in its true form, the law of attraction is very magnetic. You know, a person who operates well in the law of attraction, I'm saying, magnetizes. They don't try to push their will. So you might want to think about that with this new moon solar eclipse happening tomorrow night, Wednesday, April 19th, or Thursday, April 20th, depending on your time zone. You might want to think about, you know, letting go of that desire to push, to make things your way all the time. Now, that being said, a little willpower can go a long way, and having the willingness to do your part while you await divine timing is important. But yeah, Pluto is also the Lord of the dead, okay? So I shouldn't be surprised that I'm feeling a little bit of upheaval and movement in the realm of the dead. I am feeling that. I'm feeling the spirits being more activated. So yeah, and I'm just feeling a lot of emotions around this eclipse, more than I thought, you know, and I'm a Capricorn. We don't get overly emotional all the time, let's just say. Okay, so when I start to feel that rumble inside, something really deeply, almost volcanic is happening here. And again, I wanted to get some more clarification. So forgive me for the long intro, but I know some people watching this now did not see the other video, so I just wanted to put in context for you. Hopefully you watched that, but if not, at least you had a little bit of the astrology context. So I am working, or did work with the runes, and I asked the runes to give us some guidance. This is a collective reading about what's happening with this eclipse, where we're at now, what we need to do, and anything that can help us with that. And frankly, I have to say, I mean, I'm glad I have, you know, extensive knowledge of how to interpret the runes and the different meanings, because I think if you were a neophyte reading this reading, it would be a little bit disturbing. So the reading I got was a little bit disturbing. And I even thought, gosh, should I share this with people? But the thing is, I did the reading to share with you. That's the point. Not just for myself, but I, you know, told the runes. I talked with the ancestors. I said, I want to do a reading to shed further light to help people who might be struggling, you know, around the time of this eclipse. So the reading doesn't belong to me only. It belongs to all of us. And if you're watching this video, then this reading is for you. I am absolutely sure of that. And if you didn't make it this far, then I guess maybe you don't need this knowledge right now, or you're not ready for it. But if you did make it, you're ready. So let me show you real quickly the runes, and I have them here. I also have a little sheet. If you're not familiar with the runes, these are of northern origination, you know, Scandinavian type areas, and they're quite ancient. And yeah, I won't go into all that. You can use a search engine if you want to know more, but in modern times, we use them for divination. And they are little symbols. And I'll show you. And so we typically read them on stones or shells or something like that, or wood pieces. And these are actually ceramic. So the first rune that I received was where we're at now, collectively, starting out, what an issue might be. This is a inverted Algiz, or some people say it Algiz, but I think the more correct pronunciation is Algiz. That's spelled A-L-G-I-Z. Not that I'm an expert at, you know, pronouncing these foreign languages, but I do think the G is more like a Y sound. And if you want to see that, for those of you who are more experienced with the runes, if you want to see that, oh, my picture frame just broke. This is, you know, Mercury goes retrograde the day after this eclipse too, so I'm already having some of that too, it looks like. Anyway, I think the picture frame is broke because I think the cats were playing with it. That's what happens around here. We have more than one cat, let's just say. So anyway, this is right here. This is rune number 15. You can see it in the Elder Futhark, and these are all the runes. And this is in the second row for those of you who follow that. And now, I know you're probably saying, well, that looks different. Well, it's because it's upright there. That's in its, actual position, its normal stance. And listen, some people don't read reverses as having much significance, but I do, and I found that the runes, they know. The runes know if the person reading them pays any special significance to reversals or not, and if you do, they will communicate with you through the reversals. So yeah, the runes know that if I see a reversed Algiz, that I'm going to pay attention, okay? And what this rune is, I mean, it can have a whole lot of meanings, because each one of these 24 runes, it's like a set of mathematical variables. Okay, it's not math, but it's related in the sense that each one of them is a set of variables that can mean many different things. What, it generally accepted, a larger meaning for this has to do with, when it's upright at least, well, both ways. It has to do with protection and shielding. And this upright, if it were upright, this is the way that those of us who study the northern spiritual arts, this is how we prefer to pray, is with our arms up, looking at the sky. So this is actually a picture of a shaman. When it's upright, this is a shaman in invocation or supplication to the gods. I mean, I don't even know if supplication is the right word, because there's this equality here, that you don't have to kneel. Anyway, but yeah, you're invoking the gods with this, and your protection is strong. You're protected by your connection to the energetic realm. Your aura is strong when this comes up reversed, and you're shielded. Or excuse me, when it comes up upright. But here we have it reversed. So we're not strong. Our auras are not strong. We are depleted. Our shields are not up. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, okay? Something is not quite right here. Our energy levels are depleted. Usually when this happens like this, somebody needs to take the time to refill themselves, because they are drained. And I could see this as being part of this eclipse, because I do think, for myself, I see a lot of emotional energies are showing up. So, like when I say emotional, I mean, turbulence, cleansing, those types of things. And even if it's a positive, I think cleansing is largely positive. I always think that, even if it's of a physical nature and it's uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable, isn't it? Though, that's the thing. Cleansing is uncomfortable, and it's draining. When you cleanse, you not only are stripped of what you don't need, but a lot of times it takes a little bit of your vitality with it. So that's what this rune is saying. Now, obviously seeing this, I was a little bit alarmed for us, or at least concerned. Okay, maybe not alarmed, it's not the worst, okay, but it's concerning. We don't want to see this rune reverse. I don't want to see this for those who are watching this video, or myself either. So I asked them, what can we do, to write this, what rune, not just what rune, but how can we work with this? What is it we need to do? And what I came up with is another really, really powerful rune. And those of you who read runes, you'll know this is Thurisaz, or Thurisaz, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Some just call it the Thurs rune, or Thor's rune. And this was not reversed, so that's good. Although the thing about this rune is, whether it's reversed or not, it's pretty powerful. And some people even just say the rune, I've heard some writers even say this is an evil rune. Now, I don't believe that, okay? Now, if you wanted to see it in the line, let me just show that to you. Problem is, my frame is pretty broken here. Okay, so there it is. It's number 3. For those of you who just need that visual prompt. And you can imagine, being number 3, it is probably a pretty important rune, actually. This rune, Thurisaz, is one we're talking about now, number 3. which is sometimes called Thor's rune. And you've probably heard of Thor, right? I mean, if you've seen the movies, I'm not saying you should get all your spiritual information from movies, but they do kind of a good job of portraying him, actually. Not too bad for Hollywood. Excuse me. So, this can mean a lot of things. Remember, these runes are variables, but what I think it means here is simply what it's saying is remember your boundaries. And there is a need for protection and defense because this rune, Thurs, is one of the names, and that can mean, you know, it can be associated with, well, what it means is giant, okay? And in the Norse understanding, in this ancient spiritual understanding, giant is a force of chaos. You know, these are the aspects of your life that are out of control, are people in your life, or projects in your life that are crazy makers. You have people in your life that are crazy makers, you know, that's what it means. Now, these runes have little poems that go with them. And, you know, yes, this is called the Thurs rune, which is giant, but it's also called later on thorn is another name for it, which is really kind of fitting. If you look at the shape, it definitely has a thorn-like element, you know, to its form. And I don't have it memorized word for word, but one of the rune poems that goes with this rune, I believe it's Anglo-Saxon, it has to do with grasping a thorn, and it says how painful it is to grasp the thorns, for those who grasp the thorns, for those who lie among the thorns. So what I'm taking this to mean here, okay, is that those of us who are partaking of this reading, we need to deal with our boundaries. We need to have better boundaries. First, start with yourself. I always talk about that. I guess I need to make a video about that, but I've talked about that many times in videos. Often when others have taken advantage of our boundaries, it's usually because first we didn't keep our boundaries with ourselves. So, you know, keep your appointments with yourself. That means your self-care. Honor your rhythms. But also, you know, this is telling you to, perhaps counseling you to let go of those things that you keep grasping to, you keep holding on, but they're painful. So I'm going to ask you, what is it in life? I mean, it could be a habit too. It could be a habit or a pattern. I mean, do you have an addiction that is not serving you, and yet you just keep going back to that and grabbing that thorn? Okay. And by the way, addiction, it could be a substance or it could be an addiction to a person. Are you involved in a relationship that you know with a person, you just know they're toxic for you? And that could be a romantic, a sexual relationship, or it could be of another nature. A friendship, even, you know, a spiritual connection or a work connection. Are you holding on to a thorn that is piercing you? If so, the runes are counseling to let that go, to protect yourself, because if you're holding on to that thorn that is bleeding you, you know, that's not a good thing from this perspective, okay? From the runic perspective, you know, the only thing we sacrifice for from this perspective is knowledge, okay? We don't keep holding on to somebody or something to be martyrers, okay? That's not considered good in this system that I'm reading from here, at least. Now, you may think it's good to be a martyrer. I can just tell you personally from my own experience in working with clients that most martyrers are not healthy, they are not happy, they are not well adjusted. So let it go. Quit hurting yourself, okay? Quit hurting yourself. To me, that's what this rune is saying here. Now, I did ask the runes one more. I was just going to do 2 runes because it really was sufficient, but I thought, is there anything we need to help us with, you know, this? What do we need to help to put our boundaries back up again? By the way, you can actually meditate on this rune. You can chant its name. And you can see what happens when you do that. It will expel people and things out of your life who don't belong there. Okay? That's essentially what this is saying, is there's people or things or habits, tendencies you have. Maybe it's even thoughts, connections to the past. Maybe it's even thinking about the past too much. Whatever it is, whatever the connection, the relationship, the habit, way you see yourself. It could be a messed up way that you're seeing yourself. When I say messed up, a harmful way. This is just showing that there's some things there in your life that don't belong there anymore. Get rid of them. Let them go. Actually, I don't even know if you have to get rid of them. You just let them go. And let them move on. Okay? But I did ask, do we need any help with this? Is there something that can help us with this besides the energy of Thurisaz? And this is so interesting. If you don't think these runes are alive, I mean, you just haven't worked with them. Because the rune that I drew then, and I'll show it to you for you rune readers, is Nauthiz. And why is this so interesting to me? Because Nauthiz and Thurisaz have a special connection in the ancient Nordic scriptures. And when they talk about in the Havamal, they talk about the lays, and these are old writings, and they talk about using these runes for magic and for protection. And this is one to defeat your enemies, to help you in your battle, okay? This is the one they talk about. And, whatever that battle is, okay, whatever your enemy is, again, that could be something internal, what you're fighting against. So, but they say whenever need is great enough, and so that suggests to use this rune, which is the need fire, the need rune, okay? Necessity, constraint. And yes, it's interesting because this is not the rune of restraint. Let's put it that way. This is more of the rune of the will and the masculine energy and kind of a yang force and, strong willpower. This is very Aries, just like the Eclipse. But here it says restrain that will and that your need is great, okay? Your need is great. So basically putting this all together, I mean, if you're feeling depleted, if you're feeling drained, or you're just going through a lot right now, you're cleansing, you are fighting life's battles. I don't mean just small crap, okay? I mean, you're fighting a battle. I mean, maybe you battled depression, and every day is a struggle to get up. I mean, there are so many people battling depression more than ever, I think, in my life since 2020 and the lockdowns. And the social isolation has had such a huge detrimental effect on people's psyches. So I do want to speak of that. If you're battling depression or anxiety or, I mean, that can be a battle too. Or whatever it is. Maybe you're battling, not having enough financial resources or, not being able to see your children or, dealing with work issues or, serious work issues or serious money issues or somebody has died and your heart is hurting. This is showing that help will come, but you have to have proper boundaries. But if the need is great enough, help will come here. Now, with this rune at the end, I found that the need rune suggests the need to be creative, especially when paired with Thurisaz, because this is a very strong creative force energy, very fertile, very creative. So that's another thing too. Sometimes when these energies are overwhelming or when you feel stuck in an area of life or depressed or like you don't have, enough of something you need for your survival, truly, sometimes taking some time to focus on your creative expressions, whatever that is for you, your art, whatever you do like an artist. Now listen, if you're like, I'm not an artist, well, you could be a psychic artist, you could be a mechanic artist, you could be a garden artist. I think you could be a cleaning artist. I mean, I've had some cleaning ladies that have come and cleaned my house that are amazing artists. And, they do it in a way I would never think of. So, it can be even what you think of as a mundane task. It can be decorating your house or your yard. It can be cleaning your bathroom. And of course, it can be painting, drawing, writing. Not just writing to impress others or coming from the ego, but truly creative expressions coming from the heart. That is a friend to you right now. And that can lift your energy. That can, provide not just an outlet, but like a place, a direction, a channel to take some of this emotional turbulence you might be feeling and channel it into it. And it can also refresh you, reinvigorate you, get this flipped right back up. So that's what I would look at, is combining that together. And this may not really be a very good time to push ahead, even though they're like in too big of a way. Even though we have this new moon, eclipse is in Aries, square Pluto, and that's all very forceful, strong energy. Make sure you have good boundaries. I'm just going to say that before you push ahead. Make sure that you are energized. And you can get an energy treatment if you have somebody around you that does that. You could receive energy treatments. And I'm saying you can get it because if you're depleted, just working on yourself may not be enough. So you could get an energy treatment or massage or a reading with somebody who works more, in the shamanic realms like myself. You can, receive counseling help, energetic help is what I'm saying, if you need it. That's another pathway to work on. And then, of course, your own communion with the powers, because this eclipse touching Pluto is activating that. And, I didn't mention in the earlier video either, the eclipse is actually lining up with Vesta, the asteroid, into Taurus, very early degree. That's a very spiritual energy too. So, tending to your creativity, but also your spiritual practices, what you are devoted to, whatever that is. For some people, it's the study of astrology. For some, it's Rune reading. And the old gods. For some, it's Christian prayer. There's different kinds of that, of course, too. Some are, Vedic. Some are Buddhist. Some, just have our own way. I mean, like me, I have different influences, but it's tending to the fire, the spiritual fire, which, by the way, Thurisaz is a fire rune. So, and then we have need fire. So, two of these runes here do suggest the connection with fire, that we might need to tend to that. But not just sexual passion. I mean, maybe for some of you, and if so, maybe that's what you need, then great. Go find it. But with the right person, of course. Be mindful of your karma. But I think for most of us on the spiritual path, this is about tending that inner fire, the spiritual fire, the creative fire. And that's what will help us break up any clouds or confusion, any sense of draining, or, if you're not feeling safe, or if you're feeling vulnerable. I mean, even if you feel like you're under attack, and you could be. I mean, there could be people, who are maybe trying to take something from you or talking crap on you, or, I wouldn't get too hung up in dwelling on that, though, because you have the power within you to take back your power. That's the point of this reading. That's what I'm getting from it. Regardless of what the a-holes do or what they think of you. So don't focus too much on that. Focus more on reigniting your own inner fire and sheltering up your defenses spiritually. And the way we do that spiritually is by empowering ourselves, by connecting with the powers, however you do that. And, as it relates to the runes, especially with our ancestors, those who have passed, and nature. Alrighty. Well, I hope you found this reading helpful. Let me know if you do, and if you feel like sharing how this might apply to your life, feel free to do that in the comments. And I'm wishing you all the courage and the strength and the inner calm and center to withstand the storm and to triumph in any battles